Hi, this is Ed back again with another video from the Outerlight channel on the Hive blockchain from BitChute and 3 speakers. We get into mugshots. Something strange about them, or at least in recent times. Someone sent me some information. I thought I'd talk about it here. But before I get into any of that, I just want to play this video, which I played for my supporters today. I published a supporter video a couple of hours ago. So if you are one of my supporters, make sure to check that out. Want to become a supporter, links are in the description. Let me just play this video here and I'll come back afterwards.
Hawthorne Bridge, I believe it to be, right in between Hawthorne Bridge and Burnside Bridge. The bus just stopped and took off and went down that way. But I've been wondering where this large crowd of agitators has been coming from for the last 90 days. And I think I discovered where such a large crowd of agitators can house themselves and stage themselves for such a long period of time and still be able to be so close to the center of action every single night. This is a war encampment. A number of these individuals have been sent to Kenosha, but this is a legitimate issue right here, I would say.
Now, in regarding that video, I'd plug where that came from, but I just picked it up randomly on Twitter. It's making the rounds right now, so I'm not sure who the original creator of that content is, but just a shout out to them. Now, in regarding the camps themselves, that doesn't seem like a homeless camp to me because it's too clean. It looks like an erected camp. And I think the theory about that being an agitator's camp is a really good one. Now, there's a fence around it and a lot of other different evidences, but we're going to get into mugshots here, which is connected to this type of thing that's going on. Someone sent me this information and they were saying that seems to be a pattern in regarding the mugshots themselves. Because, of course, if you're having arrests, now, if you're having arrests of, let's say, people rioting and you want to funnel them back into the system and back into the streets using the district attorneys, which aren't charging these people, remember, and a lot of them were actually supported in their lobbying to those types of positions by George Soros. That's mainstream news. But if you're trying to funnel them back in the system, in order for people not to recognize them, you need to have a primer beforehand where people cannot recognize them via their mugshots. A lot of these people being arrested have long criminal histories. Look at this. Just around the same time as the beginning of these riots, some newsrooms changing policies on publishing mugshots. Chief Broadley bans release of mugshots. That's July the 1st, that's February the 25th there. Crawford County, May the 14th, mugshot posting to change in June, letter from editor. This is Michigan Live as discontinuing the routine use of police mugshots. Here's why. July the 23rd. July the 2nd, San Francisco PD will stop releasing mugshots to combat racial bias. Daily Wire, 2nd of July. Burlington Police Commissioner discusses limiting release of mugshots. July the 28th. So January the 9th. Okay, this is Cincinnati is cutting back on the use of mugshots with crime stories. News changing policy on arrest of photo galleries. March the 13th. January the 9th. The Houston Chronicle will no longer publish mugshot galleries. February the 21st. Orlando Sentinel and other Florida newspapers stopped publishing mugshot databases of arrest mugshots, and that is June the 15th. And here we have more news from Michigan, which we already covered. The point is, if you want to have a system where you're refunneling the people back into society, to rechaining the movement, quote unquote, one aspect of that is not being able to recognize the people involved. Not being able to recognize people from mugshots. Now, why am I talking about mugshots? Now, it's true, and I looked into this. When you go back to 2019, you see some articles about the similar narrative of removing mugshots here and there. That's true. So it wasn't all just consolidated to just before this, but there's a lot of articles and a lot of movement in the removal of mugshots prior or at the same time that all of this stuff is happening. Now, think about that in combination with this. Remember what I'm talking about when I was talking about this, the mass release of prisoners and regarding COVID-19. This happened in the United States, remember, and these weren't people that stole a car stereo, okay? I'm not complaining about someone if you think there's a pandemic and someone stole a car stereo being released. What this was murderers, rapists, child molesters, people that were convicted of pedophilia were being released out into the public due to COVID-19 concerns, all prior and at the same time just before all these riots taking place. Now, why is that important? Because Antifa or all whoever are setting up camps. When people get out of prison, they don't have anywhere to go, mostly, especially if their crimes are horrendous, like molestation and things of that nature. So, if you set up a place in order to feed them, you can vacuum in all those people. Okay, you can vacuum in a lot of people to come into your movement. A lot of people that have the certain type of psychological framework in order to enact violence or have no problem, or are narcissistic child molesters and have no problem in preaching to others, like this individual here in Kenosha who was shot, preaching to others in that video about what was wrong with them when they're a 4-time convicted child molester. Okay, one of the people shot in Kenosha. The other person shot had a long rap sheet as well. In fact, when you look into a lot of the people arrested around these movements, and I'm not saying this person came out of jail or, just in time to join Antifa, what I'm saying is a lot of these people are sucked into these systems. And you need, as a farming resource, to provide the supplies, because you've got your logistical support with the district attorneys who are not prosecuting people, the people and the mayors that are not keeping these people that are in jail for trying to burn down buildings but putting them back in the street repeatedly. Andy No has massive Twitter threads on all of that. If you've got all this logistical kind of support, what you still need is the farming mechanism for the bodies to come into the movement in order to project them back out onto the street to do it. Those people cannot be normal people. Normal people just don't set fire to buildings. You need to have a certain type of psychological, you need a certain type of psychology in order for them to be turned into the resources necessary to enact these types of things. And what do? You get people like this. You get people with long rap sheets, etc. And isn't it strange how there's this massive turn on not having mugshots? Mugshots now, at least in the United States, this is the massive push towards this. In the UK, they don't publish that information freely, although they did have mass release of prisoners. So I thought that was really interesting. So just shout out to the person. They know who they are. They sent me this information. Of course, they'll stay anon. Anybody that sends me information stays anon unless they say that they otherwise. But quite interesting. And they all get sucked into these kinds of things here. Now, I'm not saying they're bringing the people straight into that, but I'm saying that these types of personalities that come out of the jails who seem to predominantly make up the types of people there. Now, obviously a child molester in jail is going to have a really hard time. But when they get out of jail, if they're known, they've got nowhere to go. Well, hey, welcome to the revolution, quote unquote. Of course, go out and decide for yourselves what to believe. I just thought it was really interesting to talk about. I don't know if it's 100% correct. It's just really something that adds up to the greater whole. There seems to be a lot of evidences all around the place that not only is George Soros funding these things, but there is a massive network involved in making sure that they continue to happen. I'm not just talking about the DNC and Joe Biden, Antifa.com being redirected to Joe Biden. I mean, anybody can redirect a domain name, that's true. But they lobbied for this. I mean, Kamala Harris was saying that it's never going to stop. In the meantime, of course, go do your own research. Of course, I will not be here tomorrow, and the next day is my day off. I'm taking some time because getting a bit worn out. In the meantime, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and see you all later.